6. That is how many separate ways you can qualify to see a doctor outside the VA and have the VA pay for it. It is called community care, and most veterans cannot name even one of the 6 doors into it. And there is one rule sitting underneath all 6 that quietly decides whether the VA pays the bill or you do. Hold on to that, because it is the step veterans skip and regret.
I'm Emma, and let me define this precisely because the name confuses people. Community care is when the VA pays a community provider, meaning a non-VA doctor in its network, instead of treating you at a VA facility. It is still VA-covered care, just delivered outside the VA's own walls.
Hey everyone, Kai here, and here's why this matters in plain numbers. If your nearest VA clinic is a 60-minute drive, or the next appointment is a month out, community care can put you in a local office in a fraction of that time. The whole point is access measured in minutes and days.
I'm Erica, and here is the fork that costs people. Community care is generous, but it is not walk-in. In almost every case, you need your VA team to approve it first. Skip that approval, walk into a community office on your own, and you can be the one holding the bill.
And that is the expensive mistake, measured the way I measure everything. One skipped approval can turn a fully covered visit into a full-price one. The authorization is free, and it is the single highest value step in the whole process.
So there are 2 things every veteran needs to know here. First, the 6 ways you actually qualify, because most people only vaguely know one. Second, the authorization rule that decides who pays. Get both right, and outside care is genuinely yours.
And a viewer asked the exact question that opens this whole thing up. Okay, you set up the access angle, so read it out, word for word.
Here it is exactly as written. My closest VA clinic is over an hour away and the wait is brutal. Am I actually allowed to just go to a doctor in my town, or is that going to bounce back on me?
That is the perfect question. And by the end, you will know exactly which door fits you and how to walk through it the right way. Emma, lay out the 6 ways to qualify, because that is where everyone is fuzzy.
There are 6 eligibility criteria, and you only need to meet 1. Let me number them, because the structure is what makes this clear. I will take them in order, and watch how different the doors are from each other. Criterion 1 is the service gap. If the VA does not provide the care you need at any VA health facility, you qualify. The classic case is a specialized procedure the VA simply does not perform. If it is not offered anywhere in the system sends you out for it.
Criterion 2 is geographic, and it is bigger than people think. If you live in a state or territory without a full-service VA health facility, you qualify. Whole regions fall under this. Your eligibility there is about where you live, not how sick you are.
Criterion 3 is the one I like most, because it is judgment, not a formula. If you and your VA provider agree that community care is in your best medical interest, that is a qualifier on its own. It means a real conversation with your doctor can open the door, no map or stopwatch required.
Criterion 4 is quality. If the VA cannot provide the care in a way that meets its own quality standards, you qualify to go outside for it. It is the VA conceding that for a specific need, the better care is elsewhere, and routing you there.
Criterion 5 is a legacy rule, and I want to be precise about the date. If you qualified under the old 40-mile distance requirement as of June 6, 2018, that grandfathered status still counts. It is narrow, but for the veterans it covers, it is a real door.
And let me make this concrete. Picture Specialist Ray Okafor, an Army veteran in a rural county whose nearest full-service VA hospital is 2 hours away. He does not need to argue any of the fine print. The geographic and access doors are wide open for someone exactly in his spot.
And here's the strategic point about having 6 doors. You do not have to find the perfect one. If Ray fits the geographic door and the access door at once, that is fine. Any single criterion is enough, and more than one fitting just makes the case obvious. So 5 of the 6 are on the table, and there is one more that does the heaviest lifting in everyday cases. It is the access standard, the drive time and wait time rule, and it deserves its own scene. Kai, that is your math. Walk us through it, one thing before the next part, and then we move right on. If any of this is clicking, tap that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for the next one. It takes a second, it costs nothing, and it helps more than you would think.
The sixth criterion is the access standard, and it is the workhorse of the whole program. It puts hard numbers on two things veterans feel every day: how far you drive and how long you wait. Cross either line and you can qualify for community care. Here are the numbers for primary care and mental health. The standard is a 30-minute average drive time, or a 20-day wait for an appointment. Beat either of those thresholds against you too far or too long, and you are over the line into eligibility.
And for specialty care, the thresholds are wider, which makes sense because specialists are rarer. There, the standard is a 60-minute average drive time, or a 28-day wait. Same logic as primary care, just calibrated for how far people reasonably travel to see a specialist.
And here is a detail people miss. The drive time figure is an average drive time, not the worst traffic day you can imagine. So you are not gaming it by picking rush hour. It is a steady measure which actually makes it more reliable to plan around.
And the word that matters in all of this is the word "or," because it is a drive standard or a wait standard. You do not have to fail both. The wait alone can qualify you, or the distance alone can. Emma, you have had a question sitting on this one. Go ahead.
Yes, and it is the one a veteran is actually doing in their head. If I am 15 minutes from the VA but the next opening is 6 weeks out, do I qualify on the wait alone? Because the short drive makes me feel like I should not, and I suspect that instinct is wrong.
Yes, and that is exactly how the "or" works. 6 weeks is well past the 20-day primary care standard, so the wait qualifies you all by itself, no matter how short your drive is. A close clinic with a long line is a textbook access standard case.
And the second order point is why this door matters most. The other 5 criteria cover specific situations, a service gap, a whole region, a legacy rule. This one covers the everyday friction almost everyone hits eventually, a clinic too far or a wait too long. That is why it is the door most cases actually use.
And there is a precise distinction worth making about the wait standard. The clock is about the wait for an appointment to be available, not how long you sit in the waiting room on the day. So if the soonest opening the VA can offer is past the threshold, that is what counts, even if the visit itself, once you get it, is quick.
And that distinction is the whole game in a busy clinic. A VA that is excellent but overbooked can still push you past 20 days for the next slot, and that alone routes you to community care. Quality and access are two different measures, and the access standard only looks at the calendar.
So the access standard is 2 numbers and 1 word: 30 minutes or 20 days for primary care, 60 minutes or 28 days for specialty, and either side of the "or" can open the door. Let us put all 6 criteria together and figure out which one fits whom. Let us put all 6 doors on the table and match them to real veterans, because eligibility makes sense the moment you see who each criterion is for. Okay, start with the door you think the most people actually walk through.
The access standard, no contest. Most veterans are not in a service gap or a VA-free state. They are just too far from a clinic or stuck behind a long wait. That is the everyday door, and it is the one I would check first, because it is the most likely to already fit you.
I would point to criterion 3 for a different kind of veteran, the one with a complex case. The you and your provider agree door is the flexible one. When your situation does not fit a clean number, a real conversation with your VA doctor can still open community care, and that is the human override on the formulas.
And I want to defend criterion 2, the geographic one, because it serves a veteran the numbers can miss. Someone in a state with no full-service VA facility is not asking permission to skip a wait. There is no full VA option near them at all, and this door simply acknowledges that reality.
And do not forget criterion 1, the service gap. for the veteran who needs something specialized. If the VA does not perform a particular procedure anywhere, no drive time or wait time even applies. The need itself is the qualifier, and that is the cleanest door of all.
What I keep coming back to is that these criteria do not compete. A single veteran can satisfy 3 of them at once: the geographic one, the access one, and the provider agreement one. You do not rank them, you just need any one to be true, and a strong case often clears several.
And the one caution I will flag across all 6 in pure cost terms. Every door here leads to the same hallway, and that hallway has a gate. Whichever criterion fits you, you still route the request through your VA team first, or the bill flips to you. Beth, that is the piece I want us to land.
So here is where the table lands. There is no single community care test. There are 6, and a typical veteran fits at least 1 without even stretching. But all 6 share one entrance: the VA's own approval. So let us walk exactly how you use it without getting stuck with a bill. Eligibility is only half of it. The half that decides who pays is authorization, and it is the step that quietly separates a covered visit from a personal bill. Let me walk the rule the way it actually plays out. The rule is simple to say. In almost every case, you need approval from your VA healthcare team before you get care from a community provider. The eligibility criterion tells you that you can go out. The authorization is what actually sends you out with the VA paying.
So the practical sequence is ordered. You ask your VA care team to authorize community care, they confirm a criterion fits and route you to a network provider, and that authorization is what makes the VA pay that provider directly. Skip the first step, and the chain breaks at the bill.
And here is the honest exception, because it matters in an emergency. Urgent care and emergency care are handled differently. You are not expected to call for a prior authorization while you are having a heart attack. Those situations have their own rules, separate from this routine prior approval flow.
But for everything routine, the warning is blunt, and I will keep saying it because it is where the money dies. Walk into a community office on your own, without the VA authorization, and you can be personally responsible for that bill. The eligibility door being open does not mean you skip the gate.
And one more precise piece. The community provider generally needs to be in the VA's network. So when your team authorizes you, let them help you land on an in-network provider rather than picking one cold that keeps the payment clean and the visit fully covered.
And think one step past the first visit, because that is where people get tripped. The safe habit is to treat the approval as covering the care your team actually signed off on, and to check back with them if your treatment grows beyond that. When in doubt, ask your VA team what your authorization covers, rather than assuming the first yes stretches to everything that follows.
Let me put the value on it the way I see everything. The authorization step costs you 1 conversation and $0, and it is the difference between a fully covered visit and a full price one. On a pure payoff basis, it is the highest return 5 minutes in this entire benefit.
So the move is simple to say and easy to skip. Confirm a criterion fits you, then ask your VA team to authorize the community care before you go, and let them point you to a network provider. That one habit is the difference between covered and billed. Let us close by making it impossible to forget.
So here is the reframe, said plainly. Community care is not one narrow exception that only a few veterans ever use. It is 6 separate doors to outside care, and almost every veteran fits at least one of them without even stretching.
And the 6 are worth holding as a set: a service gap, a state with no full VA facility, you and your provider agreeing, a quality shortfall, the legacy 40-mile rule, and the access standard. Any one being true is enough, and most veterans clear more than one.
And here is the verdict on the fastest path to a yes. Check the access standard first, because it is the door most people already fit. 30 minutes or 20 days for primary care, 60 or 28 for specialty, and either side of the or counts. If that one fits, you do not even need to study the other 5, you just take it to your team.
And the other half of it, just as real. 6 open doors all lead to one gate, and the gate is VA authorization. Get eligible, then get approved before you go. The veteran who skips the approval is the only one who turns a covered benefit into a bill.
And go back to our viewer, an hour from the VA with a brutal wait. He almost certainly clears the access standard on distance alone, probably on wait time too. So the answer to him is yes, you can see a doctor in your town, you just route it through your VA team first, so the VA pays, not you.
And one precise reminder so nobody trips at the end. Confirm the provider is in the VA network when your team authorizes you. And remember, urgent and emergency care follow their own separate rules. Get those two details right and your visit stays fully covered, because the whole benefit only works cleanly when the eligibility and the authorization line up together.
If you forget every criterion we named, keep this one thing. Community care is yours through any one of 6 doors, but only if you walk through the VA's approval gate first. The eligibility is what opens the door, and the authorization is what keeps the bill off your back. Beth, take us out and put the question to them.
Here is what I want you chewing on, and drop it in the comments. Look at your own situation right now. Are you over the drive line or the wait line for your VA care? And if you are, have you ever actually asked your team to authorize community care? Here is the one thing to carry out of today. Community care is 6 separate doors to outside care, and almost every veteran fits at least one of them. The trick is knowing which door is yours and walking through the approval gate first.
My move is to check the access standard before anything else. 30 minutes or 20 days for primary care, 60 or 28 for specialty. If you are over either line, you are very likely already eligible.
And a precise reminder, the provider needs to be in the VA network, and urgent and emergency care follow their own separate rules. Those details keep your visit fully covered.
So here's your move this week. Look at your own drive time and wait time, and if either crosses the line, you ask your VA team one question: can you authorize community care for me? That single ask is how you turn an hour-long drive into a local appointment the VA pays for.
If this helped you finally see all 6 doors, please like this video and subscribe, because we are building one of these for every VA benefit that hides behind a maze, and the next one breaks down VA urgent care and exactly when you can skip the wait entirely. The long game rewards patience, the short game punishes.
Giving that a 9 flat, Beth. You handled the quiz section better than I usually do. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.